as an instrument. Just accept that. Okay. So foldscope as a tool looks like that. You all have received. You have it in front of you. It would be great if you can. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so if you have it in front of you, we will all practically do this demo. And I mean, you can follow what I'm doing, or you can just watch and like try to see if you can do it on your own. So primarily, let me see. Okay, I'll keep switching between this camera and that one, and that should work. I can't find my phone, but it should. So that's our. We have someone joining right now. Okay, so that's our foldscope, and it has a bunch of components in it. So as you can see, if you flip it, you can open up this piece here, right? There you can see there's a black thing, plastic thing here, and there is another plastic thing with a lens there. So what I have done is I've taken this slide that you all must have received and I've put it inside the foldscope, but I'll do it again just to give you a demo. However, let's just explore the foldscope for what it is right now. So you have the foldscope, as you can see. Feel free to move it, around and try to see what you can do with it. So if you hold it like that, you should be able to go up and down like that. So that's your, let me see. That's your y-axis like that. And then you can move in the x as well. So there's a bit of scale here that you can follow. I mean, if you want it to be precise, as in like how much x and y I'm moving like that. And there is a paper wedge here so that you can move like that, right? So this what it does is it's basically like a triangle here. So it's a wedge, right? So the more you push the wedge in between these two paper sheets, what you end up doing is you're moving the lens away from the sample or towards the sample. So okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask that question, because let's try to make it as interactive as possible. So that's the foldscope. It has, I'll repeat it again. So it has a Y component, a Y movement here, an X movement like that, right? So if you place your thumb here, so I can't place my thumb because I'm trying to show it to you like that. So you can move it like this, like that. And to focus up and down, you move the lens. So unlike modern microscopes, it has only one lens here, the black plastic thing that you see, and there's a tiny lens there. So you can flip it like that and point it, take it closer to your eyes and try to see through the lens by pointing it towards a light source. So once you do that, as you can see, I have my thumb here. I can do that movement and I can point it towards a light source. You will see a white background. I mean, there's no sample right now, I'm assuming. So it's just a white background, nothing much. But it's good to know that you can see through this lens with your eyes. Okay. So you have to keep it very close to your eyes to see it. Now, we'll talk about how to connect your phone to this foldscope and how to take good pictures with it. But for the time being, if you are in the field, you made a sample, you wanted to take a quick look, that's how you would do it. Just take a quick look. Okay, it's very straightforward, nothing fancy here. Now, in your foldscope package, you must have received a box, a plastic box like that, which has glass slides in it, right? So let's take a minute to find that box. Perfect. I can see Jim and Chip display the box. And so let's take a slide out that says fern rhizome. So all of you who may not have received the same slide, but you may have received some kind of pre-made slide. Okay, so mine says fern rhizome. So it's basically a cross section of a plant stem. So they take a stem, they take a tiny slice of the stem, and they made a slide out of it. So it's sealed completely. You can see that sample here, right over there. There's a circular sample over here. Okay, now let me just quickly show you how you add or how you mount this slide on the microscope. So everyone is with me, right? Okay. What I'll do is I'll switch to this camera. That will make it easier for me. So you can quickly see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So there is our foldscope. And you open up this flap here, right? And then you keep it open. It has a tendency to flip back and snap to the magnet. So this thing is magnetic, and the lens is also magnetic. So if you leave it like that, it will, snap back to one piece. So here, first let's explore, where do we mount the slide? So if you look at this part here, it has two slits here. Like I can open it up like that.
Iqbal?
You're going a little bit out of the frame. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is better.
bring it closer to yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
So let me see. So if you move this flap like that, you can see there's an arrowhead here. Okay. And if you move that flap on this side, you will again see another arrow here. So that is where the slide goes. Now, it is not so easy to move the slide like that, but I'll show you. Before we put the slide in the or mount the slide on the microscope, it's important to see where is the sample, right? Or at least visualize where is the sample. So we can see the sample because it's transparent, right? But the sample is on one side of the glass. So if you touch the sample, you will see the cover slip here. So that's a tiny piece of glass. If you flip the sample, you will not be able to touch it, right? So you can see the cover slip. So it is important to place the cover slip side of the sample towards the lens, okay? So if I keep my microscope on the desk like that, so the lens is there. So you will be able to visualize, or your eyes are going to see it from that side, right? So let's keep the sample side or the glass cover slip towards the sample. So we are going to insert it into the foldscope like that. So I'll lift this flap here, and I will insert it in this direction. So this is going to be a little, tight, where you are trying to push the glass slide into that small slit that you have within the paper folds here. So you can slide it back and forth like that, right? So you push it further like this, take this flap up, and then try to push the sample through the other side. You may start with an angle. The paper is pretty, it's a tough paper, so you will not break it. So you feel free to, play with it. And the first time you do it, the second time onwards, it gets better. So the first time is, it's a learning curve. But once the sample is in there, as you can see, it can only move back and forth like that, right? So it can't move. So it's tightly set in between those two slits here. So I hope you can see the sample there. It's a darker stain on the glass. So what I'll do is I'll move the lens right onto the sample so that it's easier for me to find it later, right? So I can see the sample, I placed it there. And now what I can do is I can just snap the flap back, the outer covering. So now the sample is in position, and now it's time for us to visualize. So you can flip the foldscope, point it towards a light source, preferably a lamp or a window, and try to see what you can visualize. Meanwhile, I'll get my phone camera, and I'll try to show you what we see with my phone. Okay, so you can point it towards your eyes. Let me go back to the other camera. Okay. So I can point it towards my eyes and I can see something. If you can't see anything, that means that your lens is either far away or too close to the sample. So try moving the wedge And like by holding it with your fingers like that, so that while moving the wedge, you don't move the XY really fast. So now I'm moving the wedge and I can visualize the sample. If you have a fern rhizome as your sample, then most likely you will be able to see plant cells, which are polygonal from pentagon to hexagon and more in shape, and they have very sharp boundaries. They're pinkish in color, and I can also move it around to go to the center of the sample to see differences in color and all that. I'm going to show you all of that with my cell phone camera. So let me just bring it. Meanwhile, try to explore what you see with your foldscope, and you can ask any questions. Ankita will be here, so I'll be back in a second.
And we are here. So I can see. Jim, are you able to see anything?
Yes, I can. The problem I'm having is that little blue paper in the foldscope. It's not broken, so I can't get the slide through. So I held the slide over it, and I can see the fern. But it looks like I have to take a little knife or a razor and slit that paper.
Not really, not really. So
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back.
So maybe maybe you're just looking at the wrong fold. Iqbal, could you point out exactly where the arrowhead is?
My
Yeah.
camera again, and I'll show you.
Yeah.
So
There's an arrowhead there.
Can you see this? Yeah.
Yes.
So let me try to do it again for you. So when you remove this flap here, you should be able to see there are two more flaps. You see that arrow here, like a tiny arrow?
Arrow.
There's a white arrow.
Okay, I see it. I was one flap away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So you see that arrow here, right?
Right.
And then you insert also make sure that the sample is towards the lens. So that's your lens. You insert it below this flap.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. And then you move it away and then try to push it into that one.
Right. Big fat fingers.
Okay. So now you have your sample in there. So you can move the sample like that, or you can keep the sample where it is and try to see if you can bring the lens closer to the sample, like here. And then it's easy. Anyone else is having problems, issues with this system?
Chip, you're on mute. Are you able to see? Oh, we still can't hear you.
I can't see any arrows on mine.
Oh, could you show it? He can't see the arrows.
Let's see the arrows that you keep talking about.
Yeah. So
Could you change the camera? Maybe that's more easy to. Or do you want to do it like this?
no. This is better. I think the Mac camera.
Okay.
So I'll show you. So is it Jim Logan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. There are two Jims here. As you can see, so if you open the flap like that, right? So there is another tiny flap here.
Yes.
And do you see the arrow drawn here? It's just the head of the arrow that is drawn here, like here.
No, still can't see it.
Interesting. There should be one. It's just
So what happens sometimes, there are two flaps there. So if you pick up the wrong flap, then you won't see there's this flap beneath it.
Also, when we say arrow, it's like a small white triangle.
It's a small white triangle that is drawn here, indicating that that's where your sample needs to go. You see? So
Well, I've got the slide in all right. Everything seems to be.
Okay.
I just couldn't see that little arrow.
yeah, if you have your slide in all right, then no worries. So the slide should not go in through this.
The slide should.
Okay, the slide needs to go in through that, like this piece of paper that you have.
Yeah.
Okay, so this piece of
Oh, I
paper.
found the arrows. It's underneath that piece of paper.
Yes, exactly.
Got
So
it.
that's where you need to go. So the paper is folded here, and that's where the arrow fits. That's where the slide fits in. So the slide doesn't fit in unless you push it through these arrows.
Right. I think I've got my slide in the wrong place.
Yes, it's quite easy. Yeah, it's, I mean, usually we put the slide in the wrong place because I'll tell you why. Let me show you. So if you push the slide there, it seems like that the slide is going in, but you see the slide doesn't stay anywhere.
Yeah.
You see? So you need to make sure that the slide is stuck to this piece of paper here. And the only way to do that is to flip this flap, this tiny one, and insert it in between. It doesn't seem like there is any space, but you can, you see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also to make sure that the sample is always down, closer to the lens.
Yeah.
I make that mistake all the time. My sample is up and then I realize that I can't see, because then it increases the distance between your lens and the sample.
I've got my slide in place, but I can't see the sample.
So
The irony is,
yeah, I have two microphones here.
So yeah, also just make sure, like, even with your eye, that the sample is mounted over the lens. So that,
yeah, I've checked that.
and still you're not able to see it. And you have to see it from the
That's
blue.
right.
Yeah, you have to see it from the blue side. So the blue side should be
then
close to
Yeah.
your eye.
So no, the sample, you may not be able to see the sample for two reasons. One is the sample is not placed right on top of the lens. So
Yeah, no, I checked that.
yeah. And then once you close this flap, you point it towards your eye, and then I can't see my sample either. So what I'll do is I'll move this wedge here while keeping the XY in position. So the XY, if you move them, it will basically move your lens away from the sample. So if you keep the XY fixed like that, so you have to push the wedge like this. You see, you can push the wedge in and out. So that will help you focus on the sample. So let me try to see if I have it in my site. So I lost my sample. The reason being, it's not centered on the lens. So I will just move either the slide or the XY stage to center it on the lens, and then I'll check.
Maybe attach it to your phone and you'll be able to show when you see the sample or when you
I'm
don't.
going
I
to.
actually took a sample the other day and I was able to see it through the foldscope. I took some pictures.
You know what?
Oh, nice.
I found it.
I put it in
That's
the wrong
awesome.
place though.
Okay, so I found the reason why I'm not able to visualize, because the sample is not towards the lens, it's away from the lens. So I can hold the glass slide. You see, as I said,
Okay,
the glass slide
maybe that's it.
sample side needs to be towards the lens. So let's
So
do that.
essentially the label should be, you should be able to read the label.
Yeah, so if you have a label on your sample, the label should be away from you towards the lens as you are setting it up on the foldscope.
Maybe that's it.
So, yeah.
Maybe that's it. Try that.
It's okay. The first time I tried it, I couldn't do it. So no worries. It's just a small learning curve. Tiny one. Okay. Now I can see my sample. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'll move on to making some samples, and I'll also show you, before that, I'll show you how to connect your cell phone. And once I do that, I can basically talk about focusing and all that directly using my cell phone. So that's a phone. It's a small phone. You may have a similar phone with one camera, or you may have a phone with multiple cameras. So it's important to find out which camera is a dominant camera. Okay, so it's easy to find that out. So if you start closing in the cameras, you will know when do you stop seeing an image. Before we attach the phone to the foldscope, what we will do is check the accessories that you have received with the foldscope kit. So one of the accessories, there must be one, is this magnetic connector. I have it attached to a bunch of tapes here, but they are not necessary right now. So you can try looking for this connector. And once you have that, can you just give me a confirmation so that I can move on to the next steps?
That's it.
Perfect. Okay. So this connector is magnetic. So if you hold your foldscope like that, you will see that the connector snaps onto the lens, like right where your eyes, like where you were able to see through the lens, like that side, the blue side. I think I hold it like that. So this magnetic basically snaps onto the eyepiece. It's very easy.
Does it
So,
snap on either way?
no, it will snap only one direction because it's magnetic. So there's only one side that it allows it to connect to another magnet like that. The other side will not snap. It will rather repel.
So basically, you should always see the silver side up, right?
Yes. So when you connect this, and it also has a bit of groove, a tiny groove there. So that basically fits the groove here. Okay, so it snaps. So there is no alignment problem here. So it just snaps whenever you place it closer to the eyepiece. Now, the problem or the task right now at hand is to connect the magnetic strip to the cell phone so that we can connect our cell phone to the microscope easily. And that's where we have to make sure that the alignment is perfectly done. So so now I know that this side of the magnetic strip will fit into the microscope, right? And the other side has to go towards the cell phone camera. So it has to be like that. So I'll switch to my other camera, and maybe we can visualize it better. So here I have my phone and the foldscope. So let's point it like that. So ideally, the camera needs to go in and fit like that. So the camera will not automatically fit in. So we need this additional adapter, right? And we know that the adapter goes and snaps like that, right? So this part of the adapter, this side of the adapter needs to fit my phone. So what I'll do is I will try to place it like that and stick it here. So here you will need some tapes. If you have some tapes around you, it may be a good idea to grab it right now and use that tape. So I have taped my adapter already, but I can do it again for you. So I have some standard paper tape here. And let me just remove all these. So that's the adapter, right? And the idea is to connect it like that. So the groove side or the non-silver side will get connected to the microscope, right? So let me try to align it so that you all don't feel dizzy. Okay, so it needs to be like that. So what I'll do is I'll try to point my camera precisely like at the center of the hole that I can see in that magnetic strip. So it can be like that. It can be like that as well, depending on where your camera is on your cell phone. If your camera is at the center, life is easy. You know, you can place it like that and tape it up. But since my camera is on the corner, it's a little harder. But let's try to see if we can do it. So I'll take a small piece of tape and I will first connect it like that. Try to see if you can avoid the groove area while taping it, because the groove is going to fit in snugly with the other side on the microscope. So I try to avoid taping the groove area, but even if you do, it's going to be fine. It's a strong magnet, so it will fit in. And taping your phone is not going to damage your phone, so don't worry about it. So I'm trying to place, so you can see the lens of the camera where, you know, this tiny spot at the center. What I'll do is I'll try to connect it like that and make sure that everything is aligned. And I have taped it here. I'll take another tape. So my cell phone has a magnet just below the camera. So it tries to repel the magnetic adapter. So I have more issues connecting it, but overall you'll see it's going to be fine. So I think it's centered well, and I will take another tape and try to tape the other side. Okay, so this is, I think, positioned well. Now I'm going to just check whether I can connect it to the foldscope. So everyone is good this far?
Yep.
Okay. So you use two pieces of tapes, and if you think the tape is not good enough, just maybe over tape a little bit on the edges. So let's see here so that I don't have it. Maybe a bit here. So the primary problem that we are trying to address is to align the magnetic adapter right at the center of my camera. If that doesn't happen, you will not see an image at the center of your camera because it's going to shadow the field of view. Okay, so if I connect it here, see, it snaps easily. Okay, I can move. So since this is properly taped in, so now I can basically just take it closer to the foldscope and it just snaps. There's nothing to do. Once you have connected the adapter perfectly at the center, you are good to go. So meanwhile, since I've been moving this around, I probably have lost my sample, so I'll realign that. So that's our first step. We did connect the magnetic strip or adapter to the cell phone, okay? And let's leave it there. Now, there's another piece of equipment that you must have received with your foldscope, which is this light source here. So if you take that out, yeah, perfect. So there is a small strip or some kind of plastic that you can find here. Just pull it out, because that stops you from turning on the light source accidentally. And when they're shipping it, they add it to this machine like that. So if you just take it out, you can see that you can move this knob and turn on the light. So if you go on one side, the light is brighter. If you go on the other side, the light is dimmer. So, I mean, for now, a dimmer light is good enough for us. What I'll do, so there is something that I just realized, that you may or may not have the magnetic adapter connected to your light source. Let me just switch the light source off. So if you can move it here, and you can see that there's a LED light source, and all you have to do is slide the magnetic adapter. It's the exact same magnetic adapter that you have connected to your cell phone. So you just have to slide it. Is there a question? Okay. You just have to slide it so that it aligns with the LED light. Now, the funny thing is that it's the exact same adapter, right? So it connects to the foldscope on the other side. So if you leave it like that, it again connects, you see? So again, just to reiterate, the blue side of the foldscope where you have foldscope instruments written on top is basically your camera side. So you connect your phone camera on this side. The other side is your light source. So the light source goes in like that. You don't have to align it or whatever. You can keep it horizontal, vertical, it doesn't matter. So you can keep it like that. Now, since I've been moving my foldscope, just to clarify, everyone is good here? So far, so good. Wonderful. I can see Chip's super. You're way ahead of us. Nice.
Usually I have problems with mechanical things. My fingers are very clumsy, but I didn't have trouble on this.
Yeah.
But I had trouble knowing what I was seeing. I couldn't tell whether I was seeing
Yeah.
rhizomes.
I'll show you. Yeah, that's not a problem. But this device is built for kids. So after a few trials, we all should be able to use it easily. So no problem. So what I'm trying to do right now, since I moved the device quite a bit, trying to align the lens on the sample. So I have the sample and the lens aligned. I put the flap back with the light source. I will turn the light source. Not so sure whether it will stay more bright, but that's okay. Now I will place it like that, right? So let me see if I can place it. So you can see the light coming out through the lens. And just to balance your cell phone, I usually use this box, which basically had the slides in. So I leave it like that. And now I will just connect my phone on the okay, so it's attached. So what I'll do is I will go out of Zoom, open my camera. Yeah, there you go. So the alignment is not perfect. What we can do is, let me try to share my screen on my camera, and then Saik, maybe if you can pin that. Let me see. Let's go back to Zoom. Where's the screen share?
That video is turned off.
Wait. Yeah, share option, screen. Start broadcasting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see it pretty well just through the camera without.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm just projecting my camera screen onto Zoom, and what I'll do is, so as you can see that we can see the sample, but there's a hazy spot at the center, right? The reason is I have to focus using the wedge. So if you look at the other display, you will see I'm holding the XY stage with my thumb like that, and I'm pushing the wedge just a bit, as I'm pushing, I can bring the center to focus. Can you see it focus now? Okay. And I can move out of the center focus, and I can see things adjacent to the cells in the center. So this gives you the opportunity to take an image. Right now, you can zoom in with your fingers on your cell phone. That's the digital zoom we are talking about. And then you can snap a picture. That's easy. And if you take a picture, you can look at the sample later to see, how many cells were there, What do they look like? So this sample looks amazing because it is stained and then it is preserved well, okay? So, but I'll show you how real samples like look like that you just took out of a pond or whatever. So I'm just moving my foldscope XY. So if you look at the other field of view or other camera, then you can see that I hold the the foldscope with my fingers, and with my thumb I gently move it. It becomes a little tough to move now that your phone is attached to the lens and everything gets heavy, but I'll try to bring it to the center. That's where, you know, I see a beautiful
Iqbal, can you refocus it? I still see the hazy spot.
yeah. I'll refocus. So I'm trying to bring it to the center, and then I'll show you what the cells at the center of the stem look like. So as I'm moving the wedge, I'm also moving the sample a little bit. So this is where, you know, it's a frugal machine. It's not super precise in terms of movements, but if you are patient, you should be able to visualize this. And you guys probably have better camera than I have, cell phone camera. And yeah, there you go. Your positioning is nice. Jim, is it Jim? No, Chip. Okay,
Chip.
but then you have to focus, assuming that the sample is right at the center of your lens. You have to try to see if focusing helps.
Okay, let me work on that.
Yeah. So there you go. We have a picture here. I will zoom in a little bit more, and I can take a picture, send it to you. So here you can see all those vacuoles there, right? So that's where the plant stores water, and it's used for transportation on the like edges here. At the center, you have a bunch of other cells, and there are like plenty of cells keeping the structure intact. We'll talk about that later, but today is not about this sample or discussing how does a plant stem look like. Let me see if I can focus a little bit more. Can you see? Right at the center, because I have like zoomed in quite a bit, so I have to like move tiny bits here and there to focus each individual section. So I'm focusing.
Can you just remind me how you focus? Which bit do you press down to focus?
Yes. So let me just, can you switch to this camera side, one that is overhead?
Yeah, you have to stop sharing screen.
Oh.
Like I think I have done spotlight on that, so it should be okay.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, how did I focus, right? So you hold the microscope like that with your thumb. You can do the XY. Now that I know I have already positioned my sample right at the center, what I'll do is I'll use this wedge here that has, you know, it's taller on one side and shorter on the other side. So I can move this wedge while I have the XY held with my other finger like that, you know, with my other hand, I have held the XY, and now the wedge can move independently.
Ah, yes.
You see,
yes.
You see, I'm moving the wedge, and
I understand now.
Yeah. So by doing that, I'm not sure if we can visualize here that I'm going in and out of focus. There's a bit of light, so that's why it gets really. And while you are moving the wedge, it might so happen that you moved the slide ever so gently. So what you can do that if that happens, so you move the XY trying to see, can you go back to the position again? Okay, so I went back to this position and I have focused it again. So so this whole field of view is eccentrically placed on my camera screen, right? And the reason is I didn't spend enough time connecting this. So connecting that is what is causing this issue. So this whole magnetic adapter connection is the, I think, rate limiting step here, which causes good image versus bad image. So once you connect this properly, right at the center, I can redo it again just to, you know, do a bit of trial and error until I am like finalized what is the correct position, and then I do a good taping so that it's there. So, okay, so that part is done. I'm assuming all of you got it, right? If you didn't, I'm happy to repeat it all over. Now, let's try to make a sample here so that we can cover the workshop completely, all the contents of the workshop. I'm just closing the light because it uses a battery, and there's no point using up the battery unless you are visualizing or taking an image. So I'll take this slide out like that. So far, I'm assuming everyone has become good at putting slides in and out of the foldscope. Let's leave the foldscope for some time. Let's bring in a new slide. So you all must have received a spare slide or two in that kit. You probably found it in this box. Okay, that was not pre-made. It was just a regular microscope slide. This thing has never changed in the last, I think, 50 or 100 years. It has remained the same exact microscope slide. And anywhere you go, whether they're doing blood smear staining or anything, they use the same kind of slide, right? So what the foldscope guys did is they made the microscope around the slide so that you don't have to change the slide. You can use any standard quality slide to do that. So even if you wanted, you could buy more slides. These are fairly cheap. Okay, let's take this slide, and you might wonder what is there at the center, like the donut shaped thing here. So in the foldscope kit, you probably have received ring stickers like that. So these are ring stickers, not as many as I have, but there are 3 kinds of ring stickers that you probably have received. Just check it, the foldscope bag, the kit, and you will find the ring stickers. So they are basically tiny donut shaped stickers, and if you were to peel one of them, then you would see that there's a bit of spacing here that you can use. So let me just peel one, and but let's just wait if everyone can find the ring stickers. All right, perfect. Jim has it. Oh, no, David Teasdale has it. Chip is still probably looking for.
Yeah, I'm heading towards it.
Okay, yeah. So there are 3 kinds of ring stickers that Foldscope Instruments gives you. One is a tall one. So this one, I guess, is the one that gives you more spacing. Can you see that this is quite tall and there's more space here? So it gives you a
Look
tiny...
for the thickness. I think, yeah, look for the thickness by hand also. You'll know how thick it is.
Yeah, look for the thickness, and you will see the whole idea of this ring sticker is to make a tiny pocket on the glass slide so that you can place a sample in there that is sealed from the top. The whole reason is if you are dealing with liquid sample, which we will in this program, so it's a good idea to not spill the liquid on the microscope or anywhere. You know, you want to hold the liquid sample within a pocket. So the ring sticker enables that. So what I did is I took a ring sticker out. I took a fairly thin one. It doesn't have a lot of thickness, and I placed it. It's very basic, right? So you take the sticker out and you place it on the glass slide and just tap it so that it sticks. That's it. Nothing fancy. But once you do that, you will see that the top of the ring sticker has another plastic flap. So there is a holder here. I'm not sure if you can, I'm not so sure if you can see, but there's a tiny flap again. It's like a cover to the ring sticker. So I can peel it and take it apart, right? So it's a tiny plastic cover. Now the ring sticker is exposed. And since it is a donut shaped sticker, it has a tiny compartment where I can place a sample and put the cover back, because everything is so sticky. And if I tap onto the cover, then I have the sample sealed in that sticker. Okay, so before starting this program, I was taking a walk and I could find a small sample of algae that was near the road. You know, I just it was a small puddle of water, and I could see some greenish stuff there. So I scraped that with a forceps. Again, you may have received this as well with the foldscope kit. So that was my morning field work. So, and there is another tiny equipment, which is a pipetter, a small one. Okay, so I took a droplet of that water that had algae in it, and I basically put it in that Eppendorf tube or a small tube. Okay, so here you may or may not see that the water looks a little greenish, right? So these are not filamentous algae. These are, I don't know what they are. I just picked them up. So we will all visualize together. They look grainy to me, and I can't really make any predictions. They're sticky, so they're sticking to the wall of the tube. What I'm going to do is I'll just stir it up, pick up some sample using this pipette here, or this thing. I'm sure we all have used things like that, right? So you squeeze it, you pick up some sample.
Doppler. The other thing is Doppler.
This
It's
one.
called Doppler sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, Droppler. Yeah, it basically, I mean, I'm sure you have used it many times, or some COVID test kit and all that. Okay, so I will just gently stir the sample like that, and I will take a droplet. Well, I cannot guarantee. Well, wait. I have to put it back because the ring sticker is not yet open. So you can take the ring sticker or the slide that you want to prepare, remove the cover, the plastic cover, put it like back somewhere safe. And now let me see if you all can see what I'm doing. Okay. While looking at the screen, I can't really align my hands. Okay. I'm trying to pick up as many large particles as possible, because this is going to be really tiny algae that I can't guarantee we can visualize. Also, there is a difference between the thick ring stickers and the thin ring stickers. It provides some spacing for the sample. So if you have a thick ring sticker and the samples are tiny, then you may not be able to focus them. So what I'll do is so I added a droplet, you can see, and I will place the top cover of the ring sticker back. So there is a bit of overflow because I had more media, or sorry, cell biology speaking. I have more sample than more of the water here than I can accommodate in that pocket of the ring sticker. So I had an overflow, but I can still see some green particles, and we'll all be able to visualize it soon. So just tapping, and if you have excess water, maybe you can use a paper napkin to get rid of it, but it's okay. This device is quite robust and it's not going to get damaged because of that water. Okay, so now that I have the sample ready, and I know that's the side of the sample, there is no ambiguity here. So what I will do is I will place it back into my foldscope. So you take this flap up, slide it in, move it forward, take this flap up again, and slide that side in. Okay, now so there is no well-defined spot for my sample. So I'm going to hover all over the sample. But what I did is I placed the center of the ring sticker aligned it with the lens, and just cover it up. I'll take my light source, place it there, and I just wanted to see with my eyes, what's going on, if I can see something, because it's easier to spot something with like that instead of connecting your camera. I do see a bunch of stuff, green things, but not really sure what they are. So what we can do is place my camera, and I will go back to zoom later. No, let me do that now. Share my screen again. Okay, go to the camera and connect your foldscope like that. Okay. Usually when you pick up a sample like that, you also see things that move within the sample. But let's see if there's anything that is moving. Okay.
There is something that I can see moving.
Yeah,
The
there are things,
paramecium, yeah.
yeah, so there are things that are moving, but we are more interested in the algae here, right? And what I'll do right now is change the focus so that we can focus on the algae to find out, is it circular, globular, or filamentous, whatever. Okay. Can you all see what it is right now?
I see it circular and clumped.
Yeah, so there are clumps of this algae. They're circular dots. They must have a nucleus or something. I don't know whether it's what kind of algae we have here, but we can take an image and analyze it later. I'm just trying to bring it to the center and again, trying to focus. So if you move, if you have positioned it well, now you can focus in and out and take multiple images. You know, I can take an image at this stage. I can go in further and
I
take
see it. It's actually more oval in shape.
yeah.
No?
So it's not perfectly circular, and it is more oval for sure. And there's a colony there, right? So they all are sticking to one another, independent entities, and there's a colony for sure.
Is it possible to zoom more?
Yeah, let me try to see. That's
Oh,
the
nice.
max.
Nice. No, just focus. Cool.
Yeah, so I moved it away. Okay.
That single one is floating around on the right.
So this is where you need a bit of skill in terms of like placing the foldscope and making sure that it doesn't move, and because you also need your hands free to take that image, right? So once I have found the right focus, yeah, I'm sure you guys will do better once you have mastered the art of foldscoping. Okay, I took a picture. That's
Yeah,
clear.
that's it. Yeah, that's the most clear it can get, I think.
So that's it. Voila. We have successfully made a sample and imaged it. Okay, so what is this? Now I can do further zooming. I don't know, honestly, but we can find out with our resources that we have on the website. Okay, how do I go back? All right, then let me switch to the other camera. Okay. Any questions? David, how is it going?
Oh, I think you're on mute, David.
I find the slide tends to move about a little bit when I'm focusing. Is that just a matter of practice?
Yeah.
Using it?
Yeah, it's a matter of practice and how you place it, where you place it, and all that. Because when you are trying to, like, you hold it like that with your cell phone there, right?
Yeah.
The problem that I was having is when I'm trying to move this wedge, the whole system moves just a bit, and also
Yeah.
the slide as well, right? So that comes with a bit of practice. Like And also when you leave your hands, the paper flips a little bit or changes its, you know what I mean, right? When you hold the paper is like this, and sometimes when you leave it, it goes back. So that changes the focus just a bit, but it comes with practice. You do a few times and then you realize how do you hold it, how do you place it, and you take a good picture.
It might still move sometimes because it's also not, mechanically iron or something. It's paper, so it flips a lot, but it's just kind of like the best you do. You realize that it has moved a bit, like Iqbal was doing, and you move it back.
Yeah. So once you can get a good image like that, you see, I did digital zoom on my phone and I was able to focus on a few algae. So this is a very tiny algae. Usually when you take a sample, you will see much bigger stuff, filamentous algae and so on. These are single-celled most likely. So it takes a while. It took me a while to actually visualize it and give you this picture, right? But then
it's good. This is the difficult sample. So the easy one will be easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, Iqbal, is it possible to repeat it just one more time where the slide should go? Because I think David and someone else came later, and
yes, for sure.
Yeah, that might also make a difference.
Let me switch back to the other camera.
So, quick question. So I'm getting images like that. Is that just a focus problem? Is that something I need to?
So yeah, I mean,
I can see stuff's there.
So the problem that Bruce is showing here, that problem primarily appears when you don't have this guy properly connected here. So it basically is offset a little bit, and that causes that alignment issue. So so I think it just is a bit of practice. So in the morning when I connected it once, I was having the same issue. My field of view was towards the bottom half of my screen, phone screen. So to move it to the center, you have to align the lens exactly at the center of that hole in the magnetic adapter. And once you do that, everything will be at the center. And on top of that, if you have issues with focusing, then it's just the wedge movement and all that. If this is the sample towards the lens or not, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Now, coming back to repeat of slide setup. So that's my slide, right? And it has sample on top and nothing on the bottom. So that's plus. So I try to place the sample towards the lens here. So you have the foldscope, you open the flap like that, and you try to orient or place the sample towards the lens. Okay, so the slide needs to go in like that into the foldscope. So what I do is I take this flap up and insert the slide by holding this piece of paper here like this. So now the slide has gone into one of the edges here, and you won't be able to push the slide with the sample in because the sample also has a bit of thickness, right? So you don't need to, you just push it as long as you can place the other side of the slide through this flap here. So that will hold the sample only in one direction, in that direction. So you can move the sample, but it's very hard because that's why they made it in a way that the sample or the slide doesn't move independent of this piece of paper. You put it back like that, but then I have not aligned it. Let me see. I have to move it. Yeah. So the sample is here. I've aligned the lens and I put it back, put the flap back, and now it's time to visualize like this. Very easy. So I would practice without connecting my cell phone, without connecting your cell phone. Just practice to visualize any sample with your eyes. If you don't have a light source, if you're indoors and you can't see through, just connect this light source maybe at a lower setting. Oh, this is high setting, low setting here. And this one is easy, right? It just settles there. You don't have to do much, and just observe with your eyes what you see, through the sample, and then connecting the cell phone with the microscope and cell phone to the adapter first and then to the microscope. That requires a bit of skill, but I'm sure, within a week you will be able to do it. And if you have more questions, we are happy to meet next week and we can settle this problem again. What I would recommend is that it may be a good idea to practice this over the span of a week and produce some images, anything that you like, onion peel or anything that you think is living or non-living as well. It doesn't matter. So take a few images, send it to us, and we can sit down again for troubleshooting. So once we have mastered the art of doing imaging with a microscope and a cell phone, then we'll move on to spectroscope and we'll teach you how to do spectroscopy. And how to do the data analysis and all that. I see Bruce is really busy there trying to visualize what's going on. Bruce?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's Chip.
No, yeah, Chip. That's fine. No, it's good. It's just I just need to practice. I think it's obvious.
It's just a bit of practice.
I'm seeing something. It's just not very. Doesn't look like yours.
Okay, that's it. Are there any questions?
I think I quickly wanted to add to the light source. Iqbal, you remember sometimes the light source, even in the dim one, was very intense and focused on one point. So you can stick a tape over it to diffuse light a bit if you feel like the light is too intense and is just like at the center of your camera or something.
It gives you a good picture, actually. One of our participants, when we were doing a similar workshop a year back, what he did is he used to place a tape. Sometimes, you get these paper tapes that are translucent. They are not transparent like this tape. So he used to place the tape right on top of the light source like that. So that diffuses light. I mean, when you do photography, you want to diffuse light, right? Because bright light gives you a glare. So if you don't want a glare, you can just tape something here. It diffuses the light, and that gave him amazing pictures. So yeah, I mean, that's something we got from him. Yeah, that works. Thanks, Ankita, for that. Also, feel free to come up with your own cool tricks to get good quality images, and we'll learn together.
I think also maybe because you had the thing on your hand, just remind magnifier. We have a magnifier in the kit as well, along with that light. So that might be fun sometimes to use. Yeah. It's not very often used, I think, for the project we are doing, but if you're looking at insects and stuff like that, it's kind of fun to use that magnifier.
Yeah, I mean, they also give you some paper slides as well that you can use in case you are out of glass slides. I've never used the paper slides, but yeah, I mean,
I use it. I mean, we can do this next time too, but what you can essentially do if you're making a sample out of leaf, and leaf is usually very thick and opaque. So it's actually a very fun experiment, which also we learned from somebody in our last cohort. So you can take a tape, the kind like, he has the transparent one, and you can stick it on the bottom side of the leaf where most of the stomata are. And then you stick it very tight and you rip it off. And then you can stick that on your glass slide and you will see stomata, which is very beautiful. So I'll suggest you to try that as well, because it's kind of fun to, look at that. And it's an easy sample to look at and focus. And we can do it together next time. Maybe what we should do, if you can, get some water samples and take pictures. And also if you can bring those samples next time and we can do it together if you're having issues. Right, Iqbal? Like if
I mean,
water samples are tricky. Yeah,
water samples are definitely tricky. So that's why I think if you can practice over this week to try to take dry samples as well, whatever you can get your hands on, and send us a few pictures over email. That will be good, and we can do troubleshoot. I mean, I'm sure that you'll have issues with the system, so we can troubleshoot next week again. Yeah. Okay. If there are no more questions,
okay, I think we've overshot time already.
Yeah.